Today's podcast is sponsored by lighthousepowerbusiness.com.
June 2nd, Bill Wilson.
When a man reaches out to a boy, the boy gets a chance to become a man. With the smog, despondency hung over the ghettos of New York City, and Bill Wilson often felt like he was fighting it all by himself. Like every Sunday, Bill climbed 4 flights of urine-soaked stairs to remind a little boy it was time for Sunday school. Bill would take the boy, but Bill had survived another sleepless night and wondered whether he was wasting his time. Did anyone really care? Top of the stairs, the door burst open, and 6-year-old Jerome launched himself through the door, across the hall, and into Bill's arms, and Jerome held as if his life depended on it. In that instant, at least for that instant, all of Bill's questions faded. Kids like Jerome endured poverty, hostility, and hunger. His was an abandoned generation, and there were too many children for one man to save. But when Bill looked at the child's aching expression, he saw himself. At 12, Bill had been abandoned on a street corner, rescued by a man who cared, changed by the love of Jesus. When Bill started a Sunday school for kids in the inner city of New York, he had little financial support and a note in his pocket written to him by an inner city pastor. And the note read, "I'll give you 6 months and you'll be gone like everyone else." The negativity could have been discouraging, but Bill's commitment made no concession to discouragement or any other lame feeling. Bill rented a space from a church, a pickup truck, and a Yogi Bear costume. Then he paid a young drug dealer $20 a day to drive the pickup, while Bill ran alongside with the megaphone yelling, "Look for the big yellow bus. We're taking you to Sunday school." The first day, more than 1,000 kids showed up. More children than space. The church who'd rented this space tired quickly of the arrangement, so Bill rented from another church, but soon they asked Bill and his kids to move on. Next, he rented a vacant warehouse. When Sunday school started, it was 17 degrees outside, and inside, it was also 17 degrees. Most of the children had no coats. Nobody had told Bill the boiler had blown up. Bill stood and announced, "Sorry, kids, it's over." He cut the program short, sent the kids home, and canceled his lease. They were devastated, and Bill felt he had let everyone down. For almost a year, no Sunday school, and he almost quit. But the question was always, whose child is this? And the only answer was, mine. When Bill asked God for another chance, he found a building. The down payment, though, was $25,000, and Bill had $98.16. Not quite enough. But when God told a pastor in Texas to invite Bill to tell his story, the church collected $10,000. Then other churches joined. In 8 days, God provided the $28,000, and Bill was able to make the down payment on the building. The Sunday school, later named Metro World Child, still ran out of room. So they turned small trucks into traveling stages and took sidewalk Sunday school to more kids in harder-to-reach places. The kids and the staff loved it. But space issues were the good problems. Other problems, especially the heartbreak, were harder. When you served in the inner city, heartbreak was a way of life. Over the years, Bill has been beaten, stabbed, and shot. When he was shot, people thought, he's tough, but he's going to retire today. But Bill had committed, no matter how bad it got, he wasn't leaving. Today, more than 200,000 kids attend Sunday school in inner cities around the world. Consider 12-year-old Vincent, who started Sunday school at 3. Statistics say he'll be carrying a gun soon, but Vincent disagrees. He would say, "What they don't know is what a difference God's made in my life." He says, "You'll never see me shooting anyone. I'm standing for Jesus." Someone once said, Bill had a shepherd's heart. In the scriptures, Amos 3:12, it says, "As the shepherd rescues from the mouth of the lion 2 legs or a piece of an ear, so shall the people be rescued." What challenges threaten your commitment? When a man reaches out to a boy, the boy gets a chance to become a man. Amen. Chuck Stecker here. I am the teaching pastor at Centennial, Colorado at Summit Church, and I'm also the executive director of A Chosen Generation ministry that helps churches understand the need for and how to develop intergenerational culture and ministry. You know, it's June 2nd. Our story today is Bill Wilson. Powerful story. But I want to give you a couple, 3 things that I took away from that story that for me was pretty powerful. Of course, we have the tagline here that says, you know, when a man reaches to a boy, you give that boy a chance to become a man. And I know that the story tells us that eventually the numbers would reach about 200,000 that are being reached of young people. But here's the thing. First thing about that point is maybe that one boy, maybe that or those 2 boys are in your church right now with a single mother. That it's not this huge ministry and you say, well, I'm not up to that. Maybe God's calling your ministry to reach 1 boy or 2 boys in your local church. That's one thing. The second thing that comes out of this for me is that remembering that Bill Wilson was abandoned at 12 years old, and it was one godly man that touched him. And I keep coming back, and it's not new to me, and I certainly wasn't the one that originated this statement, but how God can take your mess and turn it into his message. That this boy abandoned at 12 years old, there was a man that touched him that God used, a godly man. And from that, the ripple effect. And I can imagine, you know, that man on that day that he met Bill Wilson, this abandoned 12-year-old, could he have even imagined what God wanted to do through the life of that young man when he grew up, and that God would use him to touch hundreds and hundreds of thousands of young men, and women. So guys, maybe your ministry comes out of your mess, but also maybe it is the fact that it's in your local church. Don't lose sight of that. God bless you.
Today's podcast is sponsored by lighthousepowerbusiness.com. Get your free strategy session valued at $1,000. Get expert advice and take your business to the next level. Visit lighthousepowerbusiness.com to schedule your session today.